Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand as Antony's agent calls out Ruben Amorim for Antony's failures at Manchester United. Has he forgotten the last 2 years before Ruben Amorim became manager? Some really damning quotes and some shots fired at the current Manchester United manager Ruben Amorim, and not only the manager but the environment at the club and how it doesn't help players succeed when they come into the club. Get your thoughts in down below straight away. I'm going to read out all the quotes. They're very damning. The shots are being fired. Vote in the poll. Do you agree or disagree with Antony's agent? Because I'm going to be honest, certain parts of it I do agree with him. I do. And certain parts I'm like, I don't think you should have said that. And I think at the end of the day, he's doing well at Real Betis. Just keep your head down, keep working hard. Focus on getting a move away in the summer and focus on Antony. We don't need to be bringing up the Manchester United talk once again after a few good performances. I mean, are we all going to forget he scored in his first 3 games for Manchester United and then he fell off a cliff and never really went on to be what we thought he was going to be. So I think don't get carried away. Keep working hard at Real Betis. Some of the things he said maybe could be true, but some of it I'm like, you're trying to rewrite history a bit and pin it all onto Ruben Amorim. Some accountability and the mirror test would be due here in these quotes that he's coming out, but I will get into that in a second. Just got back from Carrington actually. Ruben Amorim was there. Not really wanting to get involved with the open training, but players there, Harry Maguire out, Ugarte out, Toby Collier back. It was interesting to see what was going on, to see what the vibe was like. They will be travelling to San Sebastian later on today. You're confident for that game. But let's get into these quotes from Antony's agent regarding Ruben Amorim. And I think it's safe to say Antony will not be coming back to the club while Ruben Amorim is manager. That won't be happening. He's either going to be an extended loan at Real Betis, which I assume is going to be the case because I don't think we'll get the money for Antony that will need to balance off the books, or he's going to go in some way. He's going to go in the summer. But let's see what happens with that. But he can't come back to Manchester United while Ruben Amorim is manager. I would put it that way. So Junior Pedroso, Antony's agent, hits back at Ruben Amorim. We respect the opinion of coach Ruben Amorim, but we completely disagree with his analysis. To attribute Antony's lack of success at Manchester United solely to the question of physicality is a very superficial argument and does not reflect reality. The truth is that Antony has not had enough prominence or confidence necessary to play his best football. Of the 15 games in which Amorim managed at Manchester United, he only used Antony in 9, with a total of 252 minutes played. This represents only 18.6% of the total possible minutes, 1,350 minutes. How can you judge an athlete without a minimum sequence to prove his worth? He then goes on to say about Amorim's statements on La Liga and the physicality. Amorim's statement, although perhaps it was not intentional, ends up devaluing La Liga and Spanish competitions. Spanish football has one of the most competitive leagues in the world, with top-level teams that constantly compete in the final stages of the Champions League and the Europa League. The reality is that Antony, since he arrived at Real Betis, has become one of the best players in the team and the competition itself, demonstrating his full potential when given the right conditions to develop his game. This highlights that the problem was not the physicality, but the context and the way that he was managed in Manchester. Many players who do not prosper at United find success at other clubs, which leads us to wonder if the problem really lies with the players. Bang, 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 bang. The shots are coming out from Antony's agent, and he says there, you know, we, so it's a collective, he's not just speaking on his own, we, Antony's camp, basically feel like Antony's been undervalued at Manchester United and has not been given the right environment to prosper. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Straight away you get your comments in and get your votes in the poll. This is coming out through the Spanish outlet Marca, by the way. You will know of Marca from transfer windows here on the United Stand. If we're linked to a player in La Liga, usually there's some good news coming out of the outlet Marca, and this is who Antony's agent has been speaking to. So there's a lot to talk about here. I mean, he talks about the way he's managed has affected him. He talks about the minutes that he's played, the environment in Manchester United, the fact he's one of the best players in La Liga at the moment. And like I would say, you know, Antony is doing really well at Real Betis, but it's still early days. Like, talking this talk this early, it could backfire. You've still got the rest of the season to play. I know Antony's currently on a high. I know he's getting his plaudits over in La Liga, but like I said, he scored in his first 3 games for Manchester United. It's not as if we're like 20 games down the line. I think it's probably, 6 or 7 games now? 8 maybe at a push. He has done well, but don't get too carried away in the way that you are talking. And despite the fact the Spanish league, La Liga, is a fantastic league, it's different to the Premier League. Casemiro, Rafael Varane, players who have played for Real Madrid at the top of La Liga, has said that the Premier League is different. They have said that in La Liga, it's a lot more, mentally challenging in terms of there's a lot more technicality on the ball and the ball's moving really quickly. But they talk about English football being every single game, the physicality, the intensity, the physicality that's required. And they've both said that the Premier League is a harder league. So players that have played there have said that the Premier League is a tougher league to play in terms of physicality. He disputes that and says that Ruben Amorim's undermining the league by talking about Antony's physicality. Get in the comments down below what you think. I mean, just a couple of stats I wanted to bring in before I get into proper detail about Antony and his future at Manchester United. So matches 5 for Antony at Real Betis, goals 2, assists 2, man of the match 3. So he is doing well, but don't speak too soon. You could be here like a month down the line and suddenly his form's completely dipped and you look silly. So I don't think they should be speaking too soon. I think they should be getting their head down, focusing on Real Betis, doing the best you possibly can to get a move away from Manchester United. We already have Avid and Berman saying he was never comfortable here. English fans hate flair. Well, early doors when he did that, the Antony spin, he got criticism ever since then. I'm going to be honest, right? I think you can look at this, and I'm not sitting on the fence, but you can look at it and you can agree with some of the stuff that Antony's camp's saying, and you can also disagree with some of the stuff. From me, when I first read it, I thought I wouldn't personally be coming out and saying that publicly, and I don't think it's a good look. But if you actually look at what he's saying, first of all, you cannot just direct Antony's failures at Manchester United on head coach Ruben Amorim, because what happened to the 2 years before that when he was here under Erik ten Hag? We brought him in for a massive transfer fee and he did not deliver. He didn't. He wasn't good enough before Ruben Amorim came in, and everybody knew that, and it was obvious that he was nowhere near his price tag. But not only was he nowhere near his price tag, but he wasn't delivering enough when he did have his opportunities to play, and he got many of them. They started to dwindle under Ten Hag, but he did get many of them, and he didn't prove himself to be a good enough player to play in the team at Manchester United on a consistent basis. He didn't provide. So you can't just say, well, it's because of Ruben Amorim, because he was poor at Manchester United way before that. However, I do think when Ruben Amorim came in, Antony could have been used more considering our situation. And I think he could have been used more on that right-hand side with Amad, playing that combination of either Antony at right wing back and Amad in the 10, or Amad at right wing back and Antony in the right sided 10. Because I do actually think, and it was only a small bit of game time, as the agent said, on the pitch, when they were playing together, Manchester United did look like more of an attacking threat down that right-hand side. It gave Amad a lot more space because Antony was dragging players away because he's naturally an attacker. He naturally did that. It's part of his game. So I do think he could have been given a bit more time on that right-hand side with Amad. We saw it when they came on together. Manchester United looked better in the attacking third, and it added more dynamism to the attacking third. I also don't think that Antony isn't... I think the line, Antony isn't physically capable enough for the Premier League, isn't true. I think physically he's absolutely fine. I just think the way he plays, you probably need a little bit more time on the ball. The way that he comes and cuts inside, it's his signature move. You just didn't get that time and space in the Premier League. I've not watched full games for him at Real Betis, so I can't actually see exactly how he's playing there. But I assume also at Real Betis, he's in a team that is probably functioning at a higher level. The team is probably a better team than at Manchester United, so you're automatically going to go up a level. I said it on the show the other day. You are the product of the 5 people around you. And it's the same in football. You are the product that the team is around you. They say, don't they, that you are the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with. At Manchester United, we can both sit here and agree that that team is massively underperforming. But if you took each individual out of Manchester United's 11 and you put them across other top teams in Europe, you would probably have a better success rate from all of them players. They would probably do better because you are putting them into a better environment, into a better team with better players that are functioning properly. Manchester United's environment isn't good, and I do think Antony's agent is right when he says it's not a coincidence that the majority of our players, when they come into Manchester United, they tend to go downwards. Like if they're at their peak or they're heading on an upwards trajectory, they start to go on a downwards trajectory. When you leave Manchester United, you start to go back up on an upwards trajectory. We've seen it multiple times before. We've seen it with Scott McTominay, we've seen it with Anthony Elanga, we've seen it with Marcus Rashford, we've seen it with Antony. You saw it a little bit with Jadon Sancho, but I think Jadon Sancho is a lost cause, I'm going to be honest with you, so I don't really want to bring him into the conversation. But it happens a lot, and it doesn't just happen with players that leave. Players come in, it also happens to. Antony nearly signed for Liverpool before he signed for Manchester United. He's come out and said that in an interview. He nearly signed for Liverpool before he signed for Manchester United, and I can guarantee you, if he would have signed for Liverpool, he would have done better than what he's currently done at Manchester United. I'm not saying he would have gone on to be a world beater. He might have ended up being a Darwin Núñez, where, you know, he goes to the club, it doesn't succeed, and he's going to have to leave. But he would have done better than what he did at Manchester United because it's a better environment. And this is what happens with multiple players that come to the club. Near enough every player that comes to the club now. They come and they say, oh, they're a flop. Everyone sat there like, why did Erik ten Hag go for Antony when Kudus was right there? You probably could have swapped Antony and Kudus. Antony could have gone to West Ham. Kudus could have come to Manchester United. And don't get me wrong, I still believe Kudus is a better player than Antony. I do believe that. But Antony might have done well at West Ham and Kudus might not have done as well at Manchester United. The environment at Manchester United isn't right for players to succeed. So that side of the argument I do agree with. But in terms of trying to pin it on Ruben Amorim, and Ruben Amorim didn't give him enough game time, Ruben Amorim, what he's saying factually isn't true. Antony wasn't good enough way before Ruben Amorim got here. And as a player, you have to take accountability. It is your career. You've got to do the best for your career. And you cannot use excuses. You cannot use the excuse Manchester United isn't the right environment. You cannot use the excuse of the manager, of the coach. You've got to do it for yourself. I mean, look at what Bruno Fernandes is probably one of the only players that has rose above it and really kind of withstood the powers at Manchester United that drag you down. And you've got to do the mirror test as well. You can't just start coming out and pointing fingers because you've scored a few goals in La Liga with Real Betis. It's not. You've got to do it for a sustained period of time before you start blaming the club and pointing the finger. I mean, get in the comments, do you agree or disagree? It's hard for me because I'm on the fence. I agree with some of the comments, but I also disagree with a lot of the others. We've got some more comments coming in. A lot of people saying, what did he say? Rewind to the start of the video, just a few. I've read out the whole quotes from Antony's agent talking about Ruben Amorim and basically calling out Manchester United for not creating the right environment for Antony to succeed. He also said about Antony, it's been an incredibly experienced Real Betis for him and his family. It seems like he's been at Betis for years because of how naturally he's adapted. He feels completely comfortable in Seville and is delighted with the city and the club. This reinforces that the decision was absolutely correct. Did you hear the other day as well that Real Betis CEO said, you know, Antony said that he wants to stay here for another year? To me, directly, that says we're probably going to do an extended loan for Antony where he stays at Real Betis for another year, because just while I'm getting your chats in right now, there was figures produced by the MEN about how much you would actually have to sell each player for, so it wouldn't go against the books and you wouldn't record a loss on the books when it comes to amortisation and FFP. And I think with Antony's, it was around £28 million. So if you look at it like that, there's absolutely no way that Antony is going to get bought for over £28 million in the summer, I don't think, which leads me to believe it will probably be another extended loan at Real Betis. Let me just quickly try and get it up. I did have it on before, but my webpage is closed down. Antony book value. I did have it saved. Okay, let me have a look. Why is it not coming up now? The book value of Antony. I think it was 28 million. I don't want to leave the show stalling, but I think it was 28 million. But I'll just see if I can try and find that. If someone can try and find it for me while I'm live and send it me, that'd be good to know, because what I'm basically saying is everything is pointing towards Antony's comments about wanting to stay at Real Betis for another year to the CEO. Antony's agent now coming out and basically saying that Ruben Amorim didn't give him a fair enough chance, and his comments were wrong on Antony and why he had to leave Manchester United and why he didn't pick him more. And the fact he says how comfortable he is at Real Betis and how it's helping him prosper, and him bigging up La Liga and bigging up the Spanish league. Everything points to me as if it's going to be an extended loan at Real Betis, which isn't the end of the world for Manchester United, because if he continues to do well, next summer is when you will be able to cash in on Antony, because his book value have gone down. You won't record a loss, and we can put that whole saga to bed, and we can move on with a better recruitment strategy where we're not spending stupid amounts of money on transfer fees and increasing wages massively. Antony's wage as well, it went from a very small wage every week to like 200 grand a week when he came from Ajax to Manchester United. It was a silly wage increase as well, so to get them wages off the books would help our wage structure too. You've got people in the chat. Let me just try and see if someone can tell me what the poll is on as well. I can't seem to see that. Honestly, you can't get the service around here. 67% of you guys disagree with Antony's agent's comments, which is, you know, a fair few of you, but there's still some of you that agree with it. Do you agree with my point and the fact that he could have been used more as a wing-back? When I look at our situation now, and you are clutching at straws massively, but when I look at Manchester United's situation, you've only really got Dalot as a right wing-back, and he doesn't give enough going forward. Antony could have been used there, I think, with Ahmad in the 10, because Dalot is not been good enough there. You've got Dorgu on that left-hand side. Mazraoui absolutely is a centre-back in this system. I don't really see where Dalot fits, but I do think you could have used Antony more as a wing-back. YTFN says, we need to sell him even if at a loss to set an example. This is what is required to financially change the culture of toxic incompetence at the club. It's not as easy as that when you're going against FFP, PSR, and you wanting to bring in as much profit as possible. You don't want to record a loss on the books, but it is an interesting one. So even if you think the comments are right or wrong, I don't think they should be being said publicly. It's the wrong timing for me. It's the wrong timing for me, and I just don't think it's a good look, and I think it's way too early. You've got a few people are seeing that Ugarte is out. Yeah, Ugarte has got a minor knock, and so does Harry Maguire. And George says he's barely played under Ruben Amorim at all. Melissa Smith says Antony never played well since he came with a different manager and system. I mean, he didn't play well beforehand, to be honest with you. I thought he suited the Amorim system more. I thought Antony suited the Amorim system more as a wing-back because he didn't give enough going forward. But as a wing-back, like he was quite good defensively, he was quite good at tracking back. So I think it suited his abilities of giving a bit going forward, but also being able to track back defensively. I thought the wing-back position suited him, but he never managed to nail it down under Ruben Amorim, and maybe Ruben Amorim just wanted to move on from that. So you've got Antony's book value here. Thank you, Greg, for sending it me. I'll finish off the show on this, and this is why I think it's going to be an extended loan. As of March 2024, Manchester United's forward Antony had a book value of 51 million. However, his market value has decreased over time. Antony's value when he signed for Manchester United in August 2022 was 81.3 million. This made him the second most expensive player in the club's history. After 12 months at Old Trafford, his value has decreased to 50.2 million. By the summer of 2024, his value had decreased again to 21 million. So that's where we're at with Antony. His book value is too high for us to sell unless someone gives us a significant fee. I don't think that actually says clear what his book value is compared to his market value. It says the book value is 51 million. So if I'm going off that, I thought it would be I thought from what I saw it was around 28 million. But the fact of the matter is, I think we'll be very lucky to get anything more than 25 million for Antony in the summer, and I don't think that's enough to cover his book value. So I think it will be a loan. The one thing for sure though is Antony can't come back under Ruben Amorim at Manchester United after them comments. I don't think Ruben Amorim will be best pleased. I wonder if he gets asked about them. I'll never say never, but I would suggest them comments mean it is the end for Antony at Manchester United, like we all suspected. Interesting. What is his agent trying to gain by them comments? Is it a move in the summer? Is it to go back to Manchester United? It's a funny way of going around it. But thank you everyone for watching. Get your comments in down below. Appreciate all of your comments. Ruben Amorim will be taking part in his press conference later on today in San Sebastian as Manchester United prepare to face Real Sociedad. Tomorrow's game, earlier kick-off as well. We will be covering that here on the United Stand. Get your comments in down below. I want to know, would you keep Antony and give him another chance, or would you let him go? And what are your thoughts in these comments? Do you agree with Antony's camp that he was maybe treated a little bit unfairly by Ruben Amorim and not given enough opportunity? Before, Ruben Amorim wasn't good enough, but could he have been given more of a chance, seeing how well he's doing at Real Betis? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching, everyone. I will see you on the next one.